Okay, hello everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm just going to do some quick training here on Weichert Works and Dotloop for everyone. So I believe I'm sharing my screen right now. So Weichert Works, for those of you who are brand new to Weichert and all the new agents out there, so Weichert Works is our company filing cabinet. So that's where we put all of our transactions that we have going on. Anytime you start working with a buyer or seller, you want to get them in Weichert Works under a new transaction. So I can show you how to set that up. Also, it's good if you've never set up a transaction in Weichert Works to go in here and set up a new one just to practice. So we can do that. I'm going to jump over to Dotloop as well in my other tab to show you what Dotloop looks like. So Dotloop and Weichert Works kind of go hand in hand here. The Dotloop is where you go to get documents, and from your templates you will get like the listing agent agreement, your exclusive buyer agency, all of the documents you need while working with clients. So Dotloop is your access point to that. Also, you will put your clients in Dotloop under a new loop to send them documents to sign electronically. So that's what Dotloop is. So now we're going to jump back over to Weichert Works here. So this is your main start page in Weichert Works. So it tells you everything that's going on in Weichert, the marketing fund plan they got going on here, has anything coming up, with Weichert. So we're going to go to the transactions tab. So that's pretty much the tab that you're going to be in quite often in Weichert Works. So whenever you start a new transaction, you're going to go all the way down here just to note the active transactions, or all of your transactions that you have going on that are active at the moment. And then filed are going to be transactions that are filed away, they have closed, or they have been terminated. So kind of keep that in mind. So to start a new transaction, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you are going to go to add a transaction, that little orange tab there. And then you're going to pick what type of category it is. It's always going to be residential, not apartment, or commercial, or referral. So residential is always what you want to go with. It's always going to be sale or sale listing, not a lease, because we don't manage the lease part of it. And you're going to select which phase you're in the transaction. So typically you want to get your client in here as soon as you start out with them. If you are in like the showing phase or the contract phase, you want to change it to that. But typically you want to start as soon as you start talking to them, you get your start documents. You will want to start the transaction in the start phase. So once you hit that, it's going to take you to select which party you represent. So in this case, we're going to pretend we're representing a buyer. So to actually start a transaction, they do require you to put in a client in here. So we're going to go ahead and select client. The first name we will do for an example. We'll just do Sally buyer here. And the company is not necessary unless you are, co-partnering with another agent. So don't worry about putting anything in the company field. For the email, we'll just pretend like Sally has a Weichert email. It does require you to put an email and a phone number. You can check that tab, no email address available, if your client doesn't do email. Put in the office number in there for an example. So we're going to add contact. Okay, email address is invalid. Forgot to put .com. There we go. Now add contact. So once you add them in there as a buyer, you can go ahead and confirm and save, create new transaction. So once you do that, it will create your transaction for you. So this is pretty much an overview of what it looks like. Remember, the main thing for starting a transaction like it works is for your filing cabinet. So I like to go ahead and go to the documents first. That way you can go ahead and get all the documents that you have with that particular client here in Weichert Works under documents. So you can go ahead and jump over there first to get everything that you have, or start working on what you don't have more particularly. So say you just start talking to Sally buyer. We know for the start phase, Weichert Works is requiring us to have the customer disclosure for working with real estate agents and buyer agency. So for buyers, it's pretty straightforward. You just need those 3 documents there. For if you're working with a seller, you will need quite a few more disclosures. But for those of you who don't know, the customer disclosure is our Gold Services disclosure form, just disclosing to the client our professional relationships with our vendors. So yeah, now I'm going to jump back over to Dotloop and show you how to actually get those forms and then get them in Weichert Works. So we're going to go back to Dotloop here, and we're actually going to start a new loop. So once you have loops already in place, it will show up like this, like each property has its own loop. If you're working with a buyer, you will want to start the loop by the buyer's name, not the address. So we're going to go ahead and go to add loop right here, top right. And so loop name, we're going to go ahead and name that our buyer's name. You can name your loop whatever you're going to remember it best as, but I do like to do the client name. I think that keeps it pretty organized. If you have a client that you're, doing multiple properties with, you could probably break it down from then, individual properties. But when you're first starting, I think doing the name is perfectly fine. We're not going to choose a template. Dotloop gives you this option where you can choose like a buying template, listing template. All that does is it pulls what's called placeholders into the loop for you. That you can see what documents you need, but we use Weichert Works up here to show us what documents we need. So that is not necessary. So we're going to go ahead and continue. It gives you the option to upload a photo here. So if you want to upload a photo to your loop, you can do that. Once we finish, it's going to create the loop, and then there it is for us. So how we get into that, you can just hit view loop. That will take us in here. So Sally Buyer, you can see the name of the loop in the top left here. You can put as many details in there as you need, but just the basics of Dotloop here, you do need to put your client info in here under add people, and from there you can then add templates of the documents you need. You can pull files on your computer. So I always like to start out the loop by adding all the people, all of the clients that I'm working with in first. So we're going to go to add people. Same thing, you're going to put in Sally's name here. And you will want to make sure that this is their full legal name, because this is what they're going to be, Dotloop is going to name the documents as, in the signature field. So you need to make sure that that is their legal name when they are signing it, if you're doing it electronically here. To work. Okay, so add to my team, you never want to choose that, because that would, allow the people that you put in the loop to be able to see all of your documents. So for safety reason, we just want to never check that. Unless you're working with an agent in the office, that could be an exception. But for the email, same thing, we want to put Sally's email in here. So the role is important for the autofill purposes. So if you want to put the role in as the buyer, that's going to allow you to autofill your documents with Sally's information as a buyer. Just kind of helps you save a little bit of time when filling out your documents in Dotloop. So pretty much that's the main thing you need, is the legal name here of the client, the email, and the role. The phone number is good to put in there for the buyer agency. You will want to put that in there. You can either go into the document and fill it out yourself, or you can put it in here. So as much information as you want, you can put in here, but we need those three things in order to have the bones of it. So we're going to add person. And so once you add your buyer, you can then go back up and start putting your templates in here. So we're going to go to templates, and we're going to go down to buyer folder 2019. Templates, just kind of an overall view of what they are. They are where you can pull all of the real estate forms and the documents. We do have our company forms on here as well. Kind of have them broken down into different folders to help with kind of organization purposes here. So each year we update it to the most recent form, but you will want to do the buyer folder 2019 because that's the most recent forms there. So pretty simple to add documents from this folder. You want to click on it. We'll pull up all the documents in there. You can scroll through and check them off. But the way that I think is pretty simple is just going to the top and typing in what documents you need. So we need the working with real estate agents. So we're going to check that. And we also need the exclusive buyer agency. So we're going to check that, and you will learn the forms in more depth as you go forward here. But we also need the customer disclosure. So all three of them are in there. So perfect. We just hit copy, and that actually copies each of those forms into your loop. So we're going to hit OK. Okay, so kind of an example of the autofill here. The working with real estate agents, there's only like one spot that you sign. So we're going to start by doing the exclusive buyer agency. So once you click on this, you can see that the buyers have the buyer's name, Sally's already autofilled in there. So what that does, it's just going to pull her information and the selected spots that the buyer needs to sign on the buyer agency. So any additional info you want to put in here for the autofill, you can. We know that we are going to be the buying agent, so you can go ahead and select yourself as a buying agent if you want to. Go ahead and autofill, and what that does, it just saves you a little bit of time with filling in the info. And it's going to show you 2 roles have been assigned and 3 fields have been autofilled. So add Sally's name in the buyer field. You will want to put the firm name there. So pretty much like any other online, PDF fill-in editor, it's pretty much how it's going to be. With documents, you just go in here and type in the necessary information. You have your check boxes to, specify which type of, contractual thing that you're doing, if you're doing residential or commercial, other. So just make sure to disclose all of that. So same thing, put in all the info here. Like I said, you guys will learn that in more detail as you go forward. But the main thing with Dotloop is just making sure that you have everything teed up and ready to go before you actually share it with your client. So the autofill, what it also does, which I would double check this yourself, but it's going to put the buyer initials in there for you as Sally Buyer. So Sally, it's going to put her initials in that space. So when you share it with her, Dotloop will take her directly to the place that she needs to sign in the initial field. And all she has to do is click and initial that. So say she's our only buyer. In this case, we would only have 1. If we had 2 buyers, of course, we would add them to our people as well, but you would have 1 buyer here and 1 buyer here. And then of course you sign in the agent spot. So that's pretty much how you can go through and, assign your initial fields. You can just click on it and go to the top left and click which person you want that initial filled out to. So we're going to go down to the last page because that actually has the signatures here. Find my mouse. Okay, so the last page of the buyer agency, same thing. It's just going to ask for the buyer's info, so you can input all that just by going in here and editing it. Has their email, mailing address. So Sally, same thing with the autofill, already put her name in here for her to actually sign here. So all the other pages, she just initials, but on the last page, it's actually going to have a signature field. So that just means she will actually sign there and initial the other pages, which Dotloop, if you have it all set up correctly, all they have to do is go through and click, and it's going to initial and sign everything that they need. So if you need to change that, same thing, just click on the field and go up here to the top left and pick which role that you want that field assigned to. So once you're ready to go, you can just save your work. That way you don't lose it. Move this back down, and you're going to hit share. Make sure to have your people checked off here and can sign. I've done occasionally edit in private, but that will actually lock the other person out of the document. Like if Sally goes in and is trying to sign it and you're in there at the same time, only one of you can have access. So I recommend doing can sign. Just make sure that's not on view only or she won't be able to sign. It needs to be on can sign. And then you can do the attach PDF to email. All that's going to do is when she does sign it, it's going to send her a physical or a copy, PDF copy in her email with her signed signature on it. So it kind of saves you a step from having to send that to her. And when you're ready to go, you can just hit share. This might bounce back at me since it's an invalid email. So yeah, once you share it, it says this document has been shared, waiting on others. You can hit the X out of that. And then you're gonna click the arrow back, and a really easy way you can see if they've signed or not. Dotloop kind of breaks it down for you. You can hover over, you can see waiting on others. And once you hover over it, it says still waiting on Sally to sign. So once she actually has signed, you will get a notification that it will say Sally has signed. And then if there's any others still waiting on, it will let you know. But since Sally is our only client in this case, we just see that she still needs to sign. So we're going to jump back over to Weichert Works, and I'll kind of show you once they do sign, you can actually pull it directly from Weichert Works into Dotloop. I'll show you guys how to do that. So back into Weichert Works here, so we have customer disclosure, working with real estate agents, buyer agency. So say Sally already signed the buyer agency here, you can actually connect your Dotloop to Weichert Works. If you haven't done that before, there's a little, there's going to be a link here that says add integration, and we'll take you through the steps to actually integrate your Dotloop with Weichert Works. So definitely helpful. It saves you a step from having to download it from Dotloop and then re-upload it in Weichert Works. So how we're going to do that, we're just going to hit required now for buyer agency, and we can actually hit attach document. And that will take us to the 3 options. Once you have Dotloop integrated, it will give you an option to upload a file from your computer, select from inbox, or import from Dotloop. So the main 2 that you'll be using with Weichert Works is uploading from your computer or import from Dotloop. If you have documents that are signed by physical signatures and not electronic signatures, you'll most likely do it this way. Come back to the office, scan it in, email it to yourself, and then you can actually save it to your computer and upload it that way. But if you're importing from Dotloop, you're just going to do import files. And let's see, it's going to pull up your transactions here. So let's see if it has Sally Buyer on here. Since I'm admin, it may give me a little bit of issues, but for you with your Dotloop, it will have all of your loops here. You can see each loop is going to be highlighted in blue. So since we just set this one up, it might take a while to come through, but for training sake, we'll just pick one of my old loops here, 3 Weichert Way, and we're going to click on the folder here, and it's going to have all of the documents that you have in this folder. So for this loop, I only had one, sample form here. So say this is the exclusive buyer agency, you're just going to hit attach. And it's going to show you that you've selected 4 pages for the new document, and then you can change the name if you need to. But if you hit the little attach document for that specific file, it will all pull together for you. So if you're happy with everything, just hit save document. And now when we go back to documents, we can see that we only have 2 required fields instead of 1. I don't know if I mentioned that. Everything in orange means that it's required now. Everything grayed out means that it will be required later. So for the start phase, you can see we only need these 2 documents that are required now, and then we need to answer some questions on the dates and info side. So that's pretty much how you pull it from Dotloop. So we just hit required now and attach document. So once you do that, you can see that it's on file, and you can click view document just to double check that you have the right one in here. So this was another test working with real estate agents, but of course you want to make sure everything's signed and ready to go. But once you have it in there, you're good to go. It's on file. Beth or myself will go in and approve this for you, but just making sure that everything you get signed by your clients in Dotloop is getting pulled over into Weichert Works. So that is pretty much how you do the documents, kind of an overall view there. But we'll go and jump over to the dates and info, show you guys how that looks like. So when you go progress to the contract phase, you'll have more questions to answer, but it starts out by just asking you a couple of basic questions, like when did you first begin working with your client, and what was the source of the business? Is this a Weichert lead network lead? Is this a company generated lead? You'll learn more about this too as you go progress with the company, but those company generated business. But if it came from yourself, you could just go in here and put that it was yours here. Then save that, and let the question go the way. Say we started working with a client yesterday, on the 24th, we can hit save for that. And is this a Weichert lead network lead? We're just going to put no. Is this company generated lead? Hit no. And yep, that's pretty much how you answer the dates and info. And yeah, jumping back over to the documents once this loads. So once you have the other 2 required documents in here, like the other fields, it will be grayed out and you're pretty much all set. But that is pretty much how to upload documents into Weichert Works and start a new transaction. Of course, Dotloop is pretty in-depth as well, but the basics you can start out with is practice putting your buyers or your sellers in there, your clients, and then putting them in, and then putting your documents into the actual loop and start filling them out and sharing them with your clients. It's definitely a good thing if you want to go through and practice sharing documents that way. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got today on Weichert Works and Dotloop. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to email or call me. Yeah, thank you very much.